to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Song I ain't got no melody. I'm gonna sing it to my friends when I go round in circles. When they fly high like a bird up in the sky. When they go round in circles.
It is 9:20 right here in the heart of the Riverbend. That is downtown Alton on this beautiful 7th day of June. Rich Henry, Henry's Rabbit Ranch on the line now. Good morning to you, sir.
Well, how you guys doing?
We're hanging in there. You know, I don't know about you, Rich, but every time I say good, something bad happens, so I quit saying that.
Well, maybe you're being realistic and not optimistic.
That's true. And I really appreciate your time on the phone today, Rich. I mean, this is what you guys have over at Henry's Rabbit Ranch is really just extraordinary. And for the folks that maybe haven't gotten a chance to stop up there yet here in Alton, can you give us a brief overview of the ranch?
Yeah, what it's all about, something I started 29 years ago. And it was never planned. I never planned anything. It just seems to evolve. And I had a building put up to store cars in that looked like an old gas station. Well, we started getting people stopping by. We're on the 1930 to 40 alignment of historic 66, and finding out they were just travelers. Some were local, some were within the U.S., some were foreigners. So after doing a trip out to California, some church business in '93 and back, just something it spurred me on because I'd touch upon a lot of different Route 66 places coming back and going out. And so I thought, well, I'm going to just start something. It started really as a hobby, and it's evolved into a good business. But the thing is, it's not about making money, it's about making friends.
Without a doubt.
And then we got Volkswagen Rabbits and Bunny Rabbits. My dad got me started in the Volkswagen Rabbits long before this ever was a thought. And then in '99, my 20-year-old daughter at the time, Emily, had gotten a rabbit and then a second one, and they were supposed to both been females. And the rest of the story, she ended up with 4 litters having 14 to 16 bunnies.
Oh, no.
So I kind of rescued him. And in '99, up until then, we called it Henry's Old Route 66 Emporium. Well, a new theme entered the property. My dad passed away in '99. I inherited all his personal vehicles, which was mainly Volkswagen Rabbits. And between what he had and I had, it totaled over 50 of them.
Wow.
So, and I still have 21 of those today. And then with the Bunny Rabbits, I got even probably more involved with that into a rabbit rescue. And by 2003, I had 49 rescue bunnies here. So, to say the least, things were really hopping. And that's, how it kind of started. And along the ways, we'd pick up different Route 56 souvenir merchandise and finally learned what works best, because the foreign travelers are limited with what they can take back home. So a lot of small items, flat items they can put in their suitcases. And we get people from all over the world. We've had every major country except one. Do you know what that one might be?
The only thing I can think of is would it be one that you wouldn't think of? Because I'm going to go with like one that's a country and a continent. And because of just how historic the homage is it Antarctica?
No. It's North Korea.
Oh, well, that makes sense. That does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, so we've had South Korea, China, Russia, those 2 countries, not as much lately. But on any given day, we'll have the majority of the travelers are more foreigners than from within the U.S.
That to me, not to cut you off, Rich, but to me that is really that's really impressive to me, to know that so many folks from out of the country are have to take this road trip across the mother road of America, and I mean, how is it for you to be able to see so many walks of life and get to meet so many people each and every day?
Well, it's awesome, and I guess sometimes we just take it for granted and think, well, it's just another day. But a lot of times when a foreign traveler comes in, another thing that I do here is we do license and title service for the state of Illinois. So I might have a local customer here, and as soon as a traveler walks in the door, the first thing I ask them is, where are you from? And they might say from Rome, Italy. So the local traveler or the local customer, license and title, they'll say, well, what are you doing here? The local people sometimes have no idea what is going on around them here.
It's true. You're absolutely right, Rich. I've said that time and time again. When I started the show, it was so funny. It was like, man, I've lived through my entire life, but I don't know half of what's going on in my community. And you put the blinders up. And when you started the ranch, did you remember the first out of towner you got to meet?
Sure, it was somebody from Germany.
Wow.
And it was August 18th of 1995. I started this guest book to have people sign it, and the first foreign country was Germany. And back then, 95, 96, the majority of the foreigners were from Germany. Nobody else had the fascination for it like the Germans.
Wow.
And, now we get as many people from Germany still coming in, but it doesn't seem like it because they're coming from all over. And the two major countries now are the Italians and the people from Spain.
Wow.
They have a thirst for it. And a lot of times, if it is a young couple, when they come in, the first thing I do, besides asking them where they're from, is to see if they have a bright, shiny wedding band or rings. And if they do, I don't ask them. I say, you're on your honeymoon, aren't you? And they look at you like, how did you know? And that's it. Them young couples from Spain and Italy do Route 66 most of the time for their honeymoon.
That is really cool. And what I think is so unique about what you're able to do and getting to meet, so many different folks is really getting a good gauge of what, everyone's interests are on taking this, road trip through the motherland and on this historic road. It's, to me, that's so fascinating. I got to ask you, when you were putting this all together, when you were starting it, how important was it for you to make sure you kept the character of Route 66 in the style of what Henry's looks like? Because I know that you guys have like a vintage gas station look, and was that important to you?
Yes, it was. That was the very first thing that had to be done. The building was put up in the early 90s, and it's kind of like my Orson Welles time machine. And we had it fabricated to look like it was a station from the late 30s, early 40s. And that's what catches the people's attention.
Wow. And now I wanted to ask you, too, I was going through your website. I'm on henrysroute66.com for anybody who wants to follow on along at home. Did you ever see yourself as becoming almost almost like just a rabbit speaker? It seems like I was reading through your site that, they all perk up whenever you come into their cages and their pens. And did you really think there would be that much of a connection between you and the rabbits?
Not when I first got the first 14, 16 from my daughter, Emily. It was just something I was doing to make her life easier and make a good life for these rabbits until they passed away. And then after learning about rabbits and getting involved in some local rescues, they just kind of grow on me. And I still have 6 bunnies. I've let the numbers dwindle down over the years. And the ones now have a life of luxury because they live in the home if they're not over here in the office.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you too, just because of how important it is to me to really recognize, because, so many times, I don't know how you feel about this, Rich. Sometimes I feel like my generation loses sight of true Americana, like a Route 66, and to be on that, most famous of roads. How do you ever just stop and reflect and go and just think how incredible it is to be set up on just such an amazing route on just such an historic road?
Yes, sometimes we take things for granted, myself included. So sometimes in the daily rush of things, I don't feel the importance of what's going on. So what I literally sometimes do, I'll walk out of the building, I'll get out by 66, and I'll open my eyes in and just look at this like it's the first time I ever been here. And it gives me a renewed appreciation for what I have here, not just the physical part, but the people coming in. And it kind of rejuvenates me. And, maybe the next person in after that, they might just be from Atlanta, Georgia. And it's just, and some of the travelers that we have coming in, they're not traveling Route 66. They might be going, let's say, from Atlanta to St. Paul, Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So they look for interesting things. They Google search in the area they're traveling through. So we'll pop up, and I'll say, are you traveling Chicago to California? No, we're just going up to St. Paul, and we Google search and saw your place, and it kind of grabbed our attention. So there's the majority of people are 66 travelers, but there is this other element where it's developed into a tourist thing, not Route 66 tourism, but just people traveling in general.
Wow. And to me, I just think it shows really the mark that you've made, since you started. And to me, I mean, this would be, in all seriousness, Rich, I never told you this on the phone, but I was going to. Yeah. This would be my ultimate dream, is to have a spot like you have where you're getting to meet all walks of life. And when you started this back in the 90s, did you have were they welcoming you with this opportunity? Was the community behind you going, yeah, we do need something like this? Because I know there wasn't really anything around that area.
No, the community, unfortunately, and I've tried several times reaching out to the local city government, they just don't seem to get it. They do appreciate what I'm doing. And 2 years come August, the city did issue a proclamation and declaration that Henry's Rabbit Ranch was a vital historic Route 66 attraction for the city of Staunton. But they just still don't seem to hop on the bandwagon and take advantage of what so many other small cities have. So, hopefully maybe some of these people are hearing our interview and that they'll finally wake up, because I have talked sometimes so I'm out of breath of how they should do more for the Route 66 community.
Absolutely. And you know what? I mean, with what I've just heard, in our conversation, what else could you ask for? You have, folks traveling to Staunton from all over, the country, all over the world. Embrace it. And, like you said, Rich, hopefully this interview does something and maybe we move the needle a little bit. I like that idea.
So, but, I've always figured that even if I don't get support from them, I don't need it, because I got the greatest support going right past my driveway. the Route 66 people. They're the ones that really make it what it is. And I just wish that we could kind of repay all these travelers with a little bit more of Route 66-ish here in the Staunton area. You got up in Litchfield for 10 years, they just had their 10-year anniversary last Saturday, the Route 66 Museum and Information Center, which I'm a member there. And, you know, these people, they put up this beautiful museum, and hopefully maybe in time Staunton can maybe not do something as elaborate, but we do have some vacant buildings up on Main Street, which would be a beautiful draw for the community.
I agree. I completely agree with you, and especially if Van can put it to some good use. And with that being said, Rich, I could talk to you all day long. We've already been talking for about almost 20 minutes, and
I know.
I really appreciate this conversation. I've been really looking forward to it. I wanted to ask you though a couple of topical questions about the ranch. Reading on the website, guys, Henry's Route66.com. At Henry's Rabbit Ranch, you're going to find some authentic memories of old Route 66. Is there one piece in particular that you hold in higher regard to others?
Well, are you talking like an artifact or souvenirs?
Artifact, if you could.
I guess it would have to be the duplication of the area. I mean, the building, my location itself. We even have Campbell 66 Express. I won't even get into that. That's another story for another time. Trailers and one of their original tractors. And, another thing, just so I don't forget, this weekend, if anybody's bored and looking for something to do, on Saturday up on Main Street, Staunton's having a Touch-a-Truck event with food vendors and things like that. Then also the Route 66 Association of Illinois, this is the weekend for their annual motor tour, where they'll be starting at the Chain of Rocks Bridge Saturday morning, and they will be stopping in Staunton for lunch. So if anybody's bored, they got two things they could do here in Staunton on Saturday. They could come by Henry's Rabbit Ranch. They could also go up on Main Street and spend an hour or so up seeing this Touch-a-Truck and the Route 66 convoy. The cars will be going through town. It'll be an exciting event.
Oh, I'm telling you what, that sounds like a great thing to do. And it doesn't sound much better, and nothing that fits the summer season better than some Route 66 celebrations, watching the convoy, and then heading on up to Henry's Rabbit Ranch. And then one last thing for you, Henry, is what time do you guys close on Saturdays, and what time do you open?
Well, sometimes the set hours are earlier and later than what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Usually on Saturdays, I'm here from 10 to 2. But a lot of times I'm over in the office from as early as 8:30 or 9, and if I'm here, I'm open. And sometimes on Saturdays, I'll be here till 3:30 or 4. And then during the week, I'm never open on Sunday. I regard that as a sacred day.
Yes.
But Monday through Friday, unless I have doctor's appointments or something, it's pretty much 10 a.m. to noon, and then like 1:15 to 4. But if anybody is going to make a trip here, I don't want to see them be disappointed and be closed or something. All they got to do is call us.
And can you give us that phone number, please?
Yes, it's 618 area code 635-5655. And if the voicemail kicks in, do not be bashful and leave a message, and I will return their phone call.
That sounds like a winner. And Rich, I will see you up at the Rabbit Ranch very shortly. And one last thing, just because I wanted to give one call to action, because we know we have a lot of folks here that love to go up and shop for unique things. Is there one at Henry's that everyone keeps coming back for?
Well, that would be hoping that the bunny rabbits are out. But they got to keep in mind, bunnies do not do good with hot temperatures. So sometimes I'll have a bunny on the counter. It's just fun to walk around. We got an 8-foot tall bunny outside. That's a good photo op for a selfie. All these Volkswagen rabbits. Oh, we have also imitated the Cadillac Ranch. We have about 6, 7 Volkswagen rabbits that look like they're buried in the ground.
Oh, wow.
So it's got a lot of good photo ops, even if we're closed. And if they would just be going by, all they got to do is stop, and they can take 5 or 10 minutes of pictures.
Wow. That is just incredible. Well, Rich, I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for giving me some of yours, and looking forward to stopping up and seeing you, and you're welcome back on anytime.
Well, thank you for having us on. I appreciate it.
No problem. And guys, if you need more information, Henry's Route66.com. It is 9:41. We'll take a quick break. Our daily show rolls on after this.